Somebody You Love acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we record. Today we are on the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples. Sovereignty was never ceded, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to Somebody You Love, or The Sale of Two Titties. I'm Jenna Love.
And I'm Holly Hart.
And we're experts in disappointing our parents, breaching community guidelines, and banging the people who vote against our rights.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Jenna.
How you doing?
I don't know why, but that tone reminds me of like when you see like an 80s show where they're sort of like, and they look into the camera.
Oh, very presentational.
Yeah, they're like, hi, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I know it's been a really hard year, but we're here to make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're tuning in to Somebody You Love. And we're here for you. Yeah, so this is going to be a pretty cash episode. We are snuggled up together on the couch. It's very cute at Holly's house.
Neither of us are wearing bras. We're in our casual gear.
I laughed because she checked to see if I was wearing a bra with her hands. The zoo is all around us. Hamish has got a toy in his mouth he's having a good time with.
Yes, hopefully he doesn't start squeaking it. This is the thing. We've been sitting here for a while with no noise.
Nothing. No noise at all.
As soon as we start to record, he's picked up the squeaky toy.
Yep.
He's making an effort on
Out
it.
of all the toys.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. There you go. That's the end of a year.
It is, yeah. We just thought we might do like a bit of a recap, but chat about the things in our life over the last year, maybe a little bit of a what's coming up next year for us. Just have a chat. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do.
Excuse any thumping in the background. Hamish is playing. He will settle down. But, I figure we're doing this cash episode. You can deal with a little bit of background animal shenanigans. If you've ever had a booking with me, you'll be used to the sound of animals in the room next door.
And if you've had a booking with me, you'll be used to the sound of animals in the room.
In the room.
So
That shocked me.
not the sound, the feel probably of Moritz touching you.
I think it was only this
That's
year
what he does.
you sort of said that the animals come in your room, and I was like, oh, with the clients.
Yeah, they just wander in.
See.
Maury's got to come say hi. He's very social. And sometimes he gets a cuddle in.
Yeah. They're smart, aren't they?
Yeah. All right, so, Holly, why don't we talk about we've both done heaps this year, I reckon.
It's been a
lot going on. And
it just hasn't stopped. A peer reached out to me yesterday it's one of those things where we've every year been like, we'll catch up, we'll do something soon, and I really like her sincerely and I would like to do that. But she goes, oh, how have you been? Have you got some time in December? And I was like, I don't know if I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a big year. Yeah.
So your agoraphobia journey has
It's always the thing. I don't know where to put the emphasis in that word.
I know.
It's an agoraphobia. Anyway, whatever it is, I know it comes from. I know the root word is agora, which is the Greek for like marketplace. It's like if people are
it makes
afraid
sense.
of going into the
marketplaces
market.
are quite hellish.
It's all of the people. It's all of the. But it's for anyone who is not familiar with my most prominent mental illness, or maybe the one that afflicts me the most and not others, is that it's not about being afraid of being in large spaces or spaces with people, which is the sort of misconception you get with a lot of agoraphobia stuff. My fear is being out of my comfort zone. It's being somewhere where I'm out of control or where I can't get to my like quote unquote safe place easily. So that has been a thing I've had for. It's hard to measure, but I'm going to say since I was about 21, it really started to manifest quite strongly and then only increased over time as I stopped pushing that limit. I'd say it got to its worst point maybe only even about 4 or 5 years ago. Like there was a point where I could not go through Hamish tippy tapping in the background for all listeners. I couldn't go through a drive-through, for example.
I think you were at that when we met.
That's when we met. Yeah.
Yep.
For me, going through like a drive-through to get something, it being trapped in that like row of cars, to me, I couldn't, it was like devastatingly like crippling. And it's not just because I couldn't get takeaway food, which is one of my favorite things.
Well, it's got quite a sick irony given your love of burgers. I mean, that's,
But that's just a, demonstrative of just how difficult it was for me to be in positions where I was uncomfortable. That was really, really hard. That I've made huge progress. I think I've been working on it now for about 2 years. It doesn't feel like 2 years, but like with vast amounts of therapy, and particularly working with my psychologist to work on like an exposure therapy sort of, I don't want to say program, but like a I don't know, a bit of a concept.
Yeah, and you like a bit of a plan.
A bit of a
right?
plan.
A system.
Yeah, we sort of worked on that. And then it was just a matter of like, it's a very hard thing to train your brain to not be frightened of going away because you have to go away all the time. And that is incredibly time consuming and expensive. And especially when you're paying for hotels and stuff like that and putting deposits on various things and you're losing them all the time, which is something I've done a lot in all these years of agoraphobia, is booking flights and then not getting on them, booking hotels and losing that money and feeling dispirited and not doing it again it's exhausting.
Yeah, and then you feel some like guilt and shame over
Heaps.
having spent the money, and
So
that adds
much.
to it all. Yeah.
Huge. So yeah, this year, huge strides. I don't know how many trips I did. I think I did about 5 trips this year. I would have liked to do more, except for Corbin tried to die in March. Yes. He swallowed a toy, and that was that was a whole ordeal. That was like 2 days before I was meant to go away to Sydney to the museum. So I had to do that. And then one of my trips, I managed to get hit by a wave in the ocean, and that destroyed my phone, and that sort of set me back a few months because I had to pay.
Tell them why you were in the ocean, though.
I was patting stingrays. So when I was a kid, we used to go to this beach and just randomly, like we went on like a family beach holiday thing just to the south coast, and I don't think like nobody knew that this was a thing, but we as kids went down to the local beach and there were people feeding stingrays, and we were like, what the hell, like that's a thing, you know, are you supposed to be scared of stingrays? And so it just sort of always remembered that. And then I decided to go there on one of my trips this year. It's quite remote, it's out of the way, and I got in the water, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to go much detail to go into, but the water comes quite high up to your waist, and the stingrays are all around you, and you don't want to go too shallow because they struggle. They're trying to, you don't want to beach a stingray. They flail. Yeah. You don't want to stress them out or they'll sting you, and it's quite painful. You're a fair way from a hospital there, and it's like, from what I've heard, a stingray sting, you pretty much need to go to hospital. It's pretty freaking horrendous.
I feel like the non-Australian listeners to this are just horrified. And they're like, it is deadly there.
I mean, it is deadly if you get stung in the heart. It is, obviously, but famously, yes. But if you get like a stung in the foot, it's pretty harmless but horrifically painful from my understanding. So yes, you're not close enough to a hospital. Anyway, so going quite deep in the water, I thought I was fine, and then I just wasn't paying attention for a split second, and a wave hit my phone. I thought it was fine because I was taking photos with the phone. And as I was leaving, my phone started to flicker, and I was like, oh, God, no. And considering I'm already frightened of being, like, away from home without control, and then suddenly my GPS, my connection to my loved ones, my music was gone, like, everything that I needed in a comfortable drive was just gone, and I was in the middle of this, like, really remote, but pretty disconnected little town. It's not even a town, I have to explain. It's like a bunch of houses next to a beach, like an hour from anywhere else. Like, it's pretty... So I just had to sort of guess my way back home. It ended up taking me 5 hours for what should be about a 2.5, 3 hour drive, just of guessing my way mostly. Eventually I remembered I have GPS in the car. A built-in GPS. Look, I was stressed.
Okay, but also before you realised that, hadn't someone asked you if you had that?
I went to... So I ended up in Nowra, which is this another little like coastal town. And I went into like a phone shop, and I was like, "Can you repair this? Please help me." And they were like, "Yeah, we'll have a look." And I came back, and they were like, "No, this phone it's never gonna work again." They were like, "Don't you have like a GPS in your like car or something?" And I was like, "Oh." And I just realised I do, and it's like literally in the dash. I realised that, but I didn't want to admit that like I just frantically come in and asked them to fix my phone and forgotten that I have a whole GPS in the car. So I was like, "Oh no, I think I'll go and buy something. Don't worry about it. It's fine." And then went back out to my car, and so that got me home, and I found I had a bunch of CDs in my center console, just old technology. So I put that in, and I had some
good old retro time.
I couldn't wait. I was like, I need Jenna to know what I'm going through, and I was just all alone. Anyway, got home fine, and I ended up getting the photos and videos of the stingrays recovered. So that was really nice. Something, after all of the disaster, and it was a really cool experience. But yes, that was not traumatic to me for my anxiety or anything like that. It was just a thing where I was like, I cannot afford to go on a trip anymore because I've just had to replace my phone.
But also you discovered that you got through that.
I was fine.
And you survived and you made it.
100%.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, I didn't have a mental breakdown, and that's all part of the agoraphobia or the exposure therapy process. Is just doing the things that frighten you and feeling frightened and being okay and proving to your brain that it's fine. It's okay to have disasters and you will be fine. So yeah, I did a bunch of trips. What was my most recent one? I went and stayed with some donkeys, and then I went and did a V8 laps in Sydney. It was so much fun, and it was really comfortable. So hopefully next year we're going to look at. Hopefully I can get on a plane. That's my biggest goal, is to do some flights, even just into Sydney for the day and out, and just train my brain to not be frightened of getting on planes anymore. And imagine, maybe go to Melbourne for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
That would
Ever.
be nice.
Wow.
Ever. Never been to Melbourne. Go see my bestie in Queensland. We have not seen each other in about 5 years now, and we miss each other. Yeah.
Been to my house. I mean,
Several
I think you did that
times.
for the first time last year.
Yeah, I did it for the first
didn't
time
you?
last year. Been there twice this year.
But yeah, and stayed for 2 nights, which is huge.
That was huge. That
And
was my
it's-
first 2-night trip away in like a decade. Yeah, it was amazing.
And she came and met my mum and dad, which was really
Mm-hmm,
cool. They loved her. They are very obsessed with their daughter-in-law.
Oh, that's so nice. I love them.
It's all lovely.
Yeah.
She came and met Mr. Love and I's like godson and goddaughter and their parents.
Yeah, I love them as well.
Yeah, and they loved her too. So yeah, very, very. It's been really, really special for me to be able to have Holly. More, I mean, Holly's like so much in my life, but to have her like there, meeting my people and like they've heard so much about her and she's heard so much about them and all of that. So that's been like really, really special and lovely.
It has been so nice. It's
Yeah.
I still, and like I think I've been to your house 3 times now, and I still sit there and be like, I can't believe I'm in your house. Like inside your house for years. It's been a thing that it's been out of reach, and now
Yeah, and she's like studied the background of all the photos we send and videos and stuff. So like when she first came in, she was like, "Oh,
There's that
oh,
thing,
that's
yeah.
it's facing that way. Oh, okay." Because she is a creeper. Like if you send her photos,
I love a background story.
you have to be careful what's in the background
Yeah.
because she will see it.
Yeah, if there's a crotch, especially.
Well, especially if there's a crotch in the shot. That's Mr. Love has learned that the hard way.
The hard way. So yay me. Yay, 2025 is going to be good. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to stick on the same thing of like traveling and talk about all of the touring I've done this year. So I've done 9 tours, and next week will be my 10th for 2024.
It's been a return to touring.
Which is quite a lot, yeah. So last year I only did 2, I think.
Yeah.
And then, 2020, 2021 and 2022 I did tour in, but, there was a fair bit of disruption and stuff because of COVID. So
It was a whole pandemic.
there was that whole thing. So this year I've done, a really good chunk, 10 of them. I've been to Melbourne a couple of times, Newcastle a couple of times, Perth a couple of times, Canberra a couple of times, and Brisbane. Oh, yes. So I went back to Brisbane. So I last went to Brisbane in 2018, I think, and I had a really crappy time there. And I've spoken publicly about this before, that it was just most of my clients there were quite unpleasant, and I didn't want to go back. But this year, DCRIM passed in Queensland, and we were holding our national forum in Brisbane. So I was like, okay, well, my flights are being paid for already, so I'll do it. And I'm very, very pleased to report back that I had a beautiful tour there. I had so many lovely clients and really nice experiences. So I'm definitely glad that I decided to give it another shot. I will say, like, I'm really grateful that I've got to do all those tours this year. I'm not sure that I will be able to tour much, if at all, in the next couple of years, and I'll get onto that when we talk about the future. But I am also feeling like I definitely could do with a break from the touring. So I think it's good timing for that.
And I can step in and take some of the clients.
Exactly. Now you can. Yeah, we'll just trade.
We're not interchangeable, just to clarify. We offer very similar, I think, but still different experiences. But you know, if you're
desperate,
keen, if you're desperate, contact me if you're desperate. That should be my whole brand. No.
But yeah, you know, I mean, we did a whole episode about touring, and it's this awful thing that the day I leave, I never want to go. I get for dots. We've talked about the first day of tour sads, where I just get really teary, and because I don't want to leave home. And it's exhausting and it's hard work. But then every time I'm there, I'm like, oh, I love it here. And these people are so nice and I want to come back and see them again. And it's just this kind of constant struggle. But I'm definitely at the moment coming to the end of a bit of a run and looking forward to, well, it's hard. A bit less travel next year, but also I do still have a number of things I have to travel for. So there we are.
The other thing is with your tours this year, particularly in the past like 6 months, there seems to be something has gone wrong in all of them. So
hugely.
like you've already been like, well, I'm going to sort of, it's going to slow down a little bit next year, but you've been like, God, like this is, thank God I'm going to have a break from this.
Yes, there have been, big things go wrong that, you know, really make it difficult. And so,
not anything like traumatic or, you know, but just logistical fucking nonsense. It's just, I'm like, oh yeah, this is
travel logistics. I'm fucking over it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is really great. It's a great reminder of why touring is so unglamorous at times, most of the time.
Hugely. Yeah. It's interesting because it does. Yeah, I forget that people do see it as a glamorous thing because it's just really not.
No.
It's not like the baseline is like, you know, you go somewhere and you stay holed up in a room for a few days and then you come back. Like that's the baseline, which isn't glamorous.
That's the glamour in that.
But then when things go wrong, it's like a whole other, you know, you've got to work without all of
luggage,
your stuff and
yeah.
And you can't get in, you can't access the building, you can't all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I'm pleased that this set of tours this year is coming to an end.
But mostly it was good.
Fantastic.
Good people.
Good tours, good tours, good people, you know, made the money I wanted to make. And that is the point at the end of the day of doing that. But this is the thing with the touring, as I do make all these connections all over the country and it's frustrating because as I said, when I'm there with them, I'm like, oh, fuck, I really want to, I miss this. I want to come back and see you more often. So it does make it tricky.
What else have I done this year? I just started another business, which what the fuck?
Crazy.
Why? It started ticking over, I'd say, sometime last year. So over the years, increasingly got more and more obsessed with like escape room type board games, and especially because I love a solo game. I like to sit on my own and do a game, and like escape room type games are the best for that because, they're totally playable on your own. Tabletop versions, that is. So I got really into those and sort of got connected to this community around the world of creators who are really passionate about the genre and they're really creative and they're just amazing. But we just don't have those games in Australia. Like they're not stocked by any of the game stores, and it just sort of ticked, like it just niggled at me for ages. And I was like, no, I don't need to do this. I don't have the time to do this or the energy. I'm always tired as it is. I don't have the space. But it kept scratching at the back of my mind.
Yeah, you're talking about it for a long time.
Honestly, for ages. So in July the 1st, I launched the shop, a little online store where I just bring in these tabletop games from overseas. I make some little videos on socials.
She just... international importer over here.
Yeah. I'm Holly based.
Global tycoon.
Yeah, that's me. It's and it's actually been going surprisingly well. Like I had all of these ideas that it would last a month and that I would can the whole thing. Like I hedged my bets so much as I began because I was so worried that everything was going to fall apart, that I would mess something up, that I didn't know what I was doing. I've made the website myself from scratch. I did just every little bit. I can't even explain how many administrative head fucks there were in all of it, and I got through all of it, and I was
you've learned all of it from scratch. Like you've gone through every kind of step of the way.
Oh my God, all of it. It's been crazy. So intense, but somehow it all has come together, and now it's running really smoothly, and the sales just keep growing, and I keep being like, what the fuck is happening? Like I keep waiting for like the polite sales from my friends to die off. Like I was like, oh, people were sweet and supported me opening the shop, and then it's just going to die. But like now, then strangers start started buying more and more. And
I
then
remember the first time, like, Holly sent me a message being like, do you know blah,
this
blah?
person, yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't think so. And Holly was like, oh, my God, I think it's a stranger.
It is. I got a sale from TikTok. That's where I, get a fair bit. And I was like, what? And now the sales just every week. I was just saying to her earlier that I got a few sales in a row, and I was like, whoa, like it's yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm probably never going to leave the sex industry. This is my passion, truly. But it's been a really fun little activity that I'm excited about, and it's really rewarding. And the fact that it's working blows my mind every single day that I get a sale. I'm like, what?
And quite a few of your clients are into those games as well. So it's something you can kind of bond about as well. Like there's some crossover.
There's some crossover. A lot of my clients are into tabletop gaming. I don't think a lot of them have explored these sorts of games, but hopefully they will. I mean, quite a few have bought one off me. I don't know if they've played it. A few have, but hopefully they continue to be inspired by my love for it and invest in games from my shop. But no, really, I hope to spread the love of the genre because I think it's a really fun type of game, and I know you've played a couple. I know you well. I mean, Jenna's been an escape room enthusiast since before I met her, and so I know she enjoys that format of like puzzle solving, and hopefully that continues to spread and people find this genre in Australia and really enjoy it. But yeah, I started a shop, crazy because I am known for being somebody who doesn't want to do a whole lot of shit. That's a Jenna thing to do, is to take on more and more stuff. So it's wild, but it's been great.
When she first brought up the idea, I was like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't. And it's not that I didn't think she could do it, but I was like, why do you want this? This isn't the kind of thing that you want to do with your life. But it obviously was sort of, I don't believe in things being meant to be, but as you said, it niggled away at you and it became this thing. And I'm so I don't want to be patronizing, but so proud. Like it's so huge for you.
That's so nice.
And especially I think because I have I grew up with my parents owning a retail store and then that, moved to being an online store as well. And so I grew up around stock and inventory and point of sale systems and all that kind of stuff, really, really boring stuff. But I grew up around it. And then I've been watching Holly learn all of that. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's a whole thing. If you've not done that before, that's huge.
Yeah. There's been so much. Every facet of this, having I could have gone and studied some business thing, but obviously having run businesses with doing our own bookkeeping and stuff that helps. But all of the different parts of this that I've had to work out, and then the content creation. I've never created a fucking reel. I don't know how to create an Instagram reel, and bit by bit I learned how to do that and how to edit it and how to. And it's been an uphill battle because I feel like it's that whole thing of you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but as each generation's technology grows, you adapt to whatever you grow up with, and then everything new is a little bit more challenging, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of a struggle. So I'm only young, but I'm still what? How do I do a TikTok? It's
God,
really,
God, yeah,
it's a lot, but yeah, it's going great. So thank you. That's really nice of you to say that. I'm really proud of it. I think it's going so well, and again, I don't have aspirations to do a whole thing to leave the industry or anything, or to I don't feel I need to justify my sex work by doing it, which is something I used to do historically, is to feel like I had to have another thing to say I do, or to make myself worthy. But it's just a really fun thing that I've enjoyed this little journey, and who knows?
And I feel like it's almost it's the full end of stigma for you where you've gotten past the point of feeling like you need to do something else to justify your sex work, but you've also gotten past the point of feeling like you can't do anything else because you don't need to justify your sex work.
Yes,
now if you want to, you can. And that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of TikTok, that's something that I kind of ventured into this year.
You're just so good at socials, though.
Well, yeah, we all have our strengths.
Yeah.
Well, I think because I thought TikTok was just for doing sexy dances, and that's not the life for me. And I was like, I can't do that. And then I came across a couple of people in the sexual education kind of space, just doing talking head TikToks. And I was like, oh, you can just sit and talk. Well, that I can do. I'm really good at sitting and at talking.
And at the same time.
And both together, phenomenal. So yeah, I just started making those, and it's been incredibly rewarding. It's also the first kind of idea was for me to kind of do some previews of the podcast and drive a bit more traffic to it. And we've seen that ever since, like literally kind of the week I started doing that, the listening stats for the podcast have increased, and they've kind of maintained at that jumped up kind of level, which is super cool. Because I was like, oh, that's what I set out to do, and it worked, which is always very fun. But yeah, I found it really rewarding and really interesting because a lot of the other social media spaces that I'm in are total algorithm bubbles, where the vast majority of people interacting with my stuff are peers and clients and allies. And TikTok doesn't work like that. Your stuff gets pushed out to absolutely anyone and everyone. So you get the most fucking nonsense on there. And I
love nonsense.
Yes, I have embraced that. Yeah, I've decided that actually I'm really into that. And I was speaking to some people in the sex work advocacy space a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I found I think one of my passions is speaking to civilians, speaking to non-sex workers about sex work. And they were all like, oh my God, really? Because that is something that a lot of people don't like doing. And I was like, yeah, I actually love it because I find it fascinating. I'm really interested in the way people's brains get to where they are, right? And like the way in which we embrace stigma and what purpose that serves. But yeah, so I thought, well, good. If a lot of people don't like doing that and I found out that I really do, then that's great. I'll keep doing it then. I do wish there were more people who are doing it, who are sort of, because it's this tricky space where you're doing advocacy under your work name. And so for a lot of people, that's not an option. A lot of people that would affect their client base and stuff. So I kind of wish there were more, but it's definitely not an option for everyone.
But also more doing it correctly. And I don't want to be really snobby about that here and really, I don't want to be a dick because like, the sentiment is important. And if you mean well, that's lovely. But you do see a lot of people on TikTok and stuff who you can say, oh yeah, they're doing advocacy, but they're saying some things where you're like, ooh, and people are allowed to have different perspectives, and I appreciate that there's a range of views within the industry, but yeah, when you say that you wish there were more people doing it, I'm like, sometimes.
No, you're spot on, yeah. I wish there were more people doing it well.
Yeah,
definitely.
And again, I don't want to punch down or punch people for trying to do the right thing for the industry, but some people have just got a really weird skew on things and they're like, this is what we need, and it's like, that's nobody needs that.
I think a lot of the time, it's not always that there can be people who have been doing this for 30 years who have some pretty wild opinions. And we don't all have to have the same opinion, right? Yeah. But that's the point. If you are speaking on behalf of the industry, then, it gets a bit trickier. You can't just say whatever the fuck you think at any given moment. But what I see is a lot of newbies who are like, I first started in the industry 18 months ago, and I'm like, oh, shit, babe. Baby. Like, and it's not, it's not that there isn't value in those voices. And I same, like, I don't want to tell them to shut up, but I do think, like, it took me years and years in this industry before I began considering kind of speaking publicly about my experiences in it. And it was because other people started asking me and people started saying, yeah, you're an advocate. And I was like, what am I? And then I was like, okay, maybe this is something that and then from that point, it took years until, like, now I do feel like I'm at the point where I can pretty confidently speak on a really wide range of topics about the sex industry. But yeah, that's 12 years of getting to that.
Yeah, I've been in this industry for forever, and I would not have the confidence to make the videos you make. Not because I don't think I have the good intentions or that I can't find a way to speak to camera and stuff, but I just don't know the right things to say sometimes to represent the industry, right? Like, it's again, you don't have to say everything perfect, but sometimes I'll put my foot in my mouth and make a point that's contrary to what we need. And it's still the right thing, but it's really delicate when you're proposing, and particularly everyone listening is almost certainly a great ally, but particularly when you're talking to people who are not allies, you want to make sure that you're really careful in how you present things and that you're not putting your foot in it. And I would not be confident to do that. But yeah, like you said, there's people who have very little experience, and again, they mean so well, but they come in and you're just like, whoa, you've just said that. So super sweet. Didn't mean to derail your
No,
thing,
not at all.
but
No,
yeah,
it's an interesting thing because you
there
also
were
see
more
them
people doing it.
You sort of say to them, "Oh, just so you know, you might want to be careful about this thing and whatnot," and they all say, "I have no shame in what I'm doing. I love being a P word." You know, I'm like, "No, same, babe, same," but I've fucking been through it. You know, and I think that's something that like. Until you've been doxxed, until you've been stalked, until you know, it can seem you can have rose-colored glasses. So I think that definitely worries me, and I see that in that TikTok space. I come across these newer creators, and I'm like, oh God, and I wish there were more, but definitely.
Your TikToks are great, and as you've said before, Mr. Love watches them
every night. Yeah.
I constantly am watching them and liking them from my various...
My mum does now too.
Oh,
she's on my Instagram. She waits till they get to Insta. I mean, obviously, she's in her 70s, so we're not putting her on the TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah, she watches all of them too.
Yeah, I love watching them all. I go and like them from my various accounts and put comments on them, either attributed to Holly or to one of my little secret sneaky accounts where I take the piss out of people.
Pick which one's the Holly troll account.
Exactly. But yeah, they're just, you know, from another perspective here, they're so great. They're really, really detailed. If you are not following Jenna on TikTok, and Mama Love, stop picking on me for saying that I hype Jenna up too much, because this is legit. She is... the videos are really, really good, and they encompass such a wide range of different topics with the industry, and they're so great because she comes back at people who are arguing with her in the comments, and not in an adversarial way, but a really educational way, and that's really helpful. Like Mr. Love has said before, sometimes I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, that's what the response to that is. Like, that's what I know in my heart, but I wouldn't have known how to articulate it. And that's really cool to get that, your head around that sort of language and that sort of the framework for like why that doesn't make sense, why what you've said is not correct. So yeah.
I've asked Mr. Love a few times because he listens to everything I do, any interview, anything. Like there's not a thing I've done that he's missed, you know? And I'm like, do you ever, like, you just hear me saying the same shit again and again and again. These are the same talking points, you know? And it's just my voice, like the same, you know? I'm like, don't you get sick of that? And he said, no, I think like I need to learn. And that, because learning does take repetition and it does take, you know?
Absolutely.
And he's like, no, because you say it in different ways and different, and then it gives me different, things that I can take from that and go, oh, I can use that in this situation or whatever. And so that's awesome. I'm
really
glad.
great. It's a good resource. Yeah.
Yay. All right, Holly, what else? What else for you?
I had a short relationship this year.
You did. We kind of both did.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
What a year. Yeah. Look, I think I have famously said it on this show, I have been single for over a decade. I don't know if I'm still claiming that, but I've been single for a very long time. I had met someone who, there was a vibe. It was a really nice sort of time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I'm not going to go into it, obviously, in heaps of detail, out of respect for that individual, but also just because I think there's some things that's nice to keep to ourselves, but I'm also quite an open book in a lot of ways. So I've got to straddle that line. But yeah, super nice person, but unfortunately I think we just were both in different places, and I'm in my 20s, I sort of would have wanted a partner around. I desired to have somebody in all of my shit. And the older I get, the more I'm so secure in my own self and in what I have in my life situation. And if I have a relationship, it needs to be with somebody that brings so much to my life. Like, it needs to be great. Like, I need to feel that that's worth the... the trade-off of my own space. Like, I really value...
I mean, they've got to live up to me.
This is the thing. Oh, well, that's never going to happen.
This is the problem. Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a big shadow being cast of this wonderful human, and then they're like, oh, God, can I shine a little bit? Can I have some light on me? But, yeah, again, really, really nice person. That was for a couple of months, and... again, I feel really bad because I don't want to say anything mean about this person because they are a really nice person, but they just had a lot more growth to do. I think is where we got to, and I feel like I've done so much work on myself, and I have grown so much as a person, and I know myself, my emotions, my heart. I have done a lot of mental health work. I know who I am. And I think this person has not yet. And I think they really liked me, but I'm not sure whether they know really how they felt about me or what they need in their life or how they feel about anything. So I needed to send them on their way to go and do that. And that's where life has ended up. And unfortunately, they didn't take that very well. Not in an awful way, but I think that was quite painful for them. And that was the end of that. So I wish them all the best. Really nice person. I'm not in a hurry to have another relationship. I never was in a hurry to have a relationship. I think if it's just a thing, sometimes it happens, right place, right time, you get a vibe and see where things sort of go. And as mentioned, I'm not someone who's desperate for that in my life, so I'm really chill about it. But yeah, we'll see what life brings. For the time being, it is, I'm back to one partner. So yeah.
And then I had the ex that I had never gotten over, and I probably never will. Crashed back, absolutely crashed back
Fully.
into my life, and then crashed back out again a couple of weeks after.
That was a roller coaster.
Pretty
of
intense
emotions.
few weeks there, yeah. And I just got, like, I think I've said this before, and I know it's slightly different in your situation, Holly, but doing this job when you are heartbroken is one of the hardest things.
Yeah.
Like, it is so hard to be like emotionally, sexually, and mentally there for a client when you are just fucking broken and like, yeah, very, very, very hard. So I think I did cancel a couple of bookings around that time because I was, in the immediate kind of aftermath. But yeah, it's a tricky one. And then at the same time, I had certain clients who I was like, oh, it's actually gonna be really nice to see them, and they're gonna cuddle me and
Comfort you.
whether they knew or not. Like, it depends, because I'm not. I'm happy to talk openly about my relationships with my clients, but it's kind of like whether it comes up or not, it's a bit whatever, and if it's the right vibe. And so for a couple of people, I did say what had happened, and then, but even other people who I didn't explain it to them, they still provided comfort, because that's the kind of work that we do. And of course, the great joy in being poly is that, I have two other partners who are amazing and who really looked after me, and through that. Sorry, I have three other partners, all three of whom really looked out for me.
By erasure.
Sorry.
Heteronormativity, yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Little probo cis girl.
Yeah. No, but they both were.
No, and you're right.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
which is so, like, it's hard. It always feels bad to be crying to a partner.
Oh, absolutely. I can't
because
imagine.
you're grieving another partner, but it also is one of the most beautiful things.
Yeah.
And I had this feeling of, I was coming back from having been with this person, and I was like, I just want to go back to the people who love me for me. And that's, the three of you. And I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, it was
shame,
shitty. Yeah, shitty. Yeah.
And again, reasonably, mostly nice. I mean, I'm a little cynical. I've always,
You are.
from the minute I met her, I was like quite protective.
Yes.
But generally.
And you're protective of the other partners too.
I am. I think one of the boyfriend and I was sort of making jokes about the other guy. I'm sending memes, or
Yes,
made a
you
meme.
are too.
Sent it to.
Yes, that's good.
So but yeah,
They banded together, a little support team.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like a pretty nice person, but just not a right situation that he's in, or that frame of mind for him at the moment. I say at the moment. I mean, it all is pretty final, but you just never know in life, and you just sort of hope. I don't know. I just hope for growth in everyone. Like, I hope everyone can find who they are and heal, and yeah. I think my only other really big thing for the year is that listeners will know I have Oh God, I think it's technically under the diagnosis of idiopathic hypersomnia, but that's only because I haven't gone to get to do the proper test for narcolepsy. It could be either. They're under the same umbrella. It really doesn't matter when it comes down to it. It's just what medicine I take. And
She's got shitty sleep problems.
basically, I am fucking tired all the time. Relentlessly tired. As I've said before, I usually need about 12 hours sleep a day. That's a good day.
And it's not, we all say we're tired because we're all tired all the time. It's not like that. This is a clinical tiredness.
I cannot keep my eyes open. If I sit for too long, I'll be out. That's a whole thing. Anyway, this year I finally got the guts to try some medicine for that, which I don't think there's any problem with me mentioning what it's called. It's called modafinil. I like to call it Daffy, my Daffy days. So it's not a stimulant, it's a wakefulness promoter, which works on the dopamine in your body.
It just sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
It's just a wakefulness promoter.
I swear I'm not peaking. I'm just stimulated. I'm just wakeful. I'm just very wakeful right now.
My wakefulness has been promoted.
It's been very promoted. It doesn't work on the same ways that things like, it's amphetamine-based stimulants do. It apparently works on like stimulating your dopamine, which is great because I feel good on this. That sounds very concerning, but it
seems awesome.
Potentially a very minimally harmful, very minimally addictive substance. Anyway, so I take that a few days a week and it has been amazing. I have had some today and I feel awake and I feel vital and I feel so good.
She's like, there's so many things you can do in one day.
Having like 8 to 10 hours in a day has been incredible. Like I will get up and I'll do things and I'm like, there's still 6 hours left today. Like I'm used to getting up and having 2 business hours left to run around and do some stuff. And it's just frantic usually. So this has been crazy for me to have some days where I can function, and that has given me so much of my life back, and it's been really, really wonderful. Thank you to my GP who hooked me up with that. And it took a lot of courage too because of my anxiety. I'm very stimulant averse. I can be quite nervous about that. I don't need to be any more amped up than I can be at times. So I really put it off. I had the modafinil in my cupboard for a few months and I was like, oh. And then one day I took a little bit and we just tested and I'm going really well. So it's made a huge difference in my life. So if you have a sleep disorder, talk to your doctor. But no, it's
somebody you love does not
endorse
it.
Exactly. We're not giving medical advice here, but huge. And that's another thing along with the agoraphobia treatment stuff that's just made my life richer.
It's so funny to hear you being like, oh my God, 8 whole hours, because I recently started a new drug that lasts about 8 hours. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do for the other 10?
Yeah, right.
Because I do lots of, I need all the hours, all of them.
That's so funny.
I have a million more things on my list. And unsurprisingly, we have talked so much longer than we thought we were going to. So I'm going to try and do some quickly. So I did a lot of studying this year. I did heaps of short courses. So I did some like leadership and governance courses, the AICD Governance Foundations for Not-for-Profit Directors course, which is like a very, well-known fancy course. And it was really, really good. The title sounds very boring, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I did ICDA Advanced Leadership for Community Chairs. I attended some like training sessions about managing member disputes and stuff like that, a little bit of media training, which was my first ever session on media training. So, never too late after years of talking to the media. I've done some Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultural competency courses, the Deaf Awareness course through Deaf Connect. And the thing that I kind of spent the most time studying this year was Auslan, which is Australian Sign Language. So I did the Introduction to Auslan 1 and Introduction to Auslan 2, and absolutely loved the courses. I love the language. It's something that, it's incredibly expressive language. And I think a lot of people think about sign language, and I would have been guilty of this too, as being something, as being a hand language, like a language that uses hands, but it actually uses face and body and even sound. So, I think I'm somebody who's really expressive, right? And I have all this theatre background, and for me, it was a really nice crossover as somebody who loves language and who likes performance, and is passionate about communicating and accessibility and stuff. So I really, really loved it, and I was considering going to study it full time next year, but I've gone in a different direction, and I feel really, really conflicted about that because, language, it's the kind of thing, like if you don't keep it up, then you lose it, right? But I said to myself, like, as soon as I finish, like, I'm going to keep practicing. I'll still practice every week. And I did it with a couple of mates, and we had set up weekly practice sessions. But pretty much as soon as the course finished, I've barely practiced since. So that is the reality. I've still got all my stuff, and I hope, I'm hoping kind of over the Christmas break, maybe I'll have a bit more time to revisit it because I do want to keep up that, even though it's a very basic level of skill, it is kind of, it's a good basic in order to be able to communicate. I have a client that I've been seeing for years who is deaf, and since me doing that study, we've been able to communicate so much better, so much like deeper and more thoroughly, and quicker as well, and that's just been amazing. So yeah, I want to try and keep it up, but I've been terrible at that. Speaking of communicating, this year I participated in the National Library of Australia's COVID-19 Oral History Project. I had no idea what that was. I got a letter in the mail that was like from the National Library, and it was like, "Hi, we want to interview you for this." And I was like, "Okay, sure," because I just say yes to everything. Yes. And I just didn't really think about it all that much. And then the person who had been assigned to interview me contacted me, and we set up a date, and she was like, "I'll come out to you." I was like, "Okay, cool." And she was like, "It'll be a full day thing. We might need a second day, but we'll see how we go." And I was like, "What? What? No, we just need like an hour. Like, what do you mean?" Anyway, 6 hours later, and she's like, "We might call it a day and I'll come back." I was like, fuck me. So basically I just literally told my entire life story, with her sort of prompting along the way. And it would have been over 10 hours. And I think it is now, I don't know if it's there yet or what, but it will be available at the National Library. And it's actually really cool stuff that they do. Like I didn't know anything about it, and she was talking to me about, she's an oral historian. Apparently that's a whole job. And they have all these recordings. Apparently it's one of the largest archives in the world at our National Library. And like they get used by researchers and stuff, and they can go in and kind of, everything gets catalogued and archived. So, if I mentioned, obviously, my talk has a lot of sex work stuff in it, but if I mention specifically about a time when I was working in a brothel, somebody might go in and type brothel, and then they can go to like that section of me talking about it, which is super cool. And I don't know, who knows how long people might access that and use it for, like
audio time
so
capture.
Cool. Yeah. I think they said they started doing it in like the 50s and 60s, so they've got stuff that goes back. Very, very cool. I mean, I don't know who wants to sit there for 10 hours and listen, but you never know. And I also did my first ever paid speaking gig this year.
So proud.
Which was very cool, and I was quite nervous about it because I didn't know how it would be received, but it was received incredibly well. So I'm thrilled about that. That was at the Australian Society of Sexologists 2024 symposium. And I talked about, surprise, surprise, sex work, my favourite topic. All right, I think that's mostly covered our year.
It's a bit of a recap.
I'm sure there's lots of other things, but, it's a big ask.
Coming up to, will be nearly 2 years no contact with my mother, which
Oh,
has
yes.
been so
Happy
fucking nice.
birthday, anniversary.
It'll be on my birthday. It was the
Yes.
last time I spoke to her was my birthday. And that has actually been really, really great. I have felt so liberated for the past couple of years, and I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a real shame that she can't be an adult.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever talked much on the show about what actually happened, but nearly 2 years ago on my birthday, she just acted really childish. There had been years of her making comments about my job, and I think there was a bit of that at this lunch. She accused me of lying about something and then wouldn't elaborate, something to do with my work. It was, and wouldn't elaborate on what.
I think it was the podcast, don't we?
I think it was the podcast or being face out.
Yeah.
Which I non-disclosure is not necessarily a lie. And also, I'm a grown adult. I don't need to give you a diary on all of my movements. Anyway, this is the thing. My mother is a narcissist and almost certainly, has really, well, not almost certainly, sorry, but she has really unhealthy codependent relationships with both of her children, or not me anymore, but is unable to allow them to be adults, and has to have control. And she's was very unwell. I don't know where she is, what she's doing now. My last contact with her was I would like her to go and seek some help and sort herself out before we have contact again, and she's chosen not to do that. And 2 years later, here we are. So she made the decision, I guess, she made the choice between, have therapy or lose your daughter. And her choice was to lose her daughter.
Yeah.
So that's, tough for her, but that is life. And I think people are really sad about it. And I'm like, I'm honestly fine. It's less traumatic to be in this circumstance. And if she's that kind of person, that's the decision she makes, I don't want her anyway. I don't want someone in my life who obviously thinks that going to get therapy is more of a threat, is so frightening than losing a daughter. That's... Bye. Good riddance. So, that's the only other update I've got.
Absolutely. And I think it's a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's great for you. I'm very
great.
Pleased.
Yeah.
So, what's media? Yeah.
What have we consumed? What have we loved this year?
So much.
Okay. Hit me with the games. What did you get into in the games this year?
So, in terms of video games, I just recently finished Echoes of Wisdom, which is the latest in the Zelda franchise. And it's kind of... So I had only played Breath of the Wild and the other one.
Yeah, I'm not a Zelda fan.
Oh my gosh, what is it? Whatever. The people are yelling at me. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
that's it. So I'd never played any of the old school ones. My husband's played all of them, I think. So this is kind of like an old... Whatever. No one cares. But I quite enjoyed it. And I found it not too difficult, which is really good for me. Because I don't like games that are hard. I don't like...
Does like to play on easy.
I do. Oh, I play everything on easy mode.
Yeah.
Because that's just,
more enjoyable for you.
Yes,
that's what
absolutely.
gaming should be, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like games that aren't really games, where you're just putting pencils in order.
Doing a task, yeah.
Yeah. I also got really into Hitman, which my boyfriend, I think, has been telling me to get into for 8 years. I think he mentioned it pretty early on. Yeah. And I think from the name, I was like, oh, no. What? No, that sounds very boy game. Very, very, and I know games aren't gendered, but that sounds very boy game. But for whatever reason, I think I came across someone playing it online. I was like, hey, that looks really cool. And then I was like, oh, that's that game he keeps talking about. So I got it.
Right.
Yeah. So I got it and loved it. I should go back to it, actually. I sunk a lot of hours into that. So thanks for that one, babe. And then surprisingly, the other two big hits for me were Dredge and Dave the Diver.
You loved Dave. Dave got you through some tough times.
Dave got me through a lot. Yeah. I loved both of those games. And it's just weird because, at their core, they're both about fishing.
Yeah.
And I hate fishing. I hate boats. I can't swim. I hate the water. I hate fish. People think I hate fish because I'm I'm vegetarian. I don't want to eat them. I'm like, no, because they're fucking
creepy,
disgusting.
yeah.
They are awful. Keep them away from me. I don't want to ingest them. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to know about them. I mean, I really don't want to smell them. And I guess with a video game, the good thing is you don't smell them. Holly doesn't anyway. Her whole life is a video game. But I absolutely loved both of those games. They were, that's my top list for the year of video games anyway.
I did not play many video games this year. I gamed way less than usual. My favourite game it was Bug Snacks.
Oh.
It was Bug Snacks. It's like a Pokemon style of game where you catch bugs that are crossed with snacks.
It's great.
You would love it, and I've not recommended it to you because it's really annoying when somebody's like, "You'll love this," and I don't want to do that to you, but you would love it.
All right, cool.
I started it and I was like, "This is a bit fucking silly," and then a day later, I was up to 80 hours. I was like, how did I get 80 hours out of 24 hours of time? I could not put it down. You just got to catch these bug snacks. Super addictive.
Cool.
Nothing at all cerebral, but much fun.
good.
There you go. That's
nice.
all I did. Nothing. Usually
Love
I'm
it.
into the Horizon series or Assassin's Creed or whatever. This year we just went for a little Nintendo Switch game and I had a blast. So
So the good thing is my boyfriend has finally gotten into Assassin's Creed Odyssey and is loving it. So we've done a little swap.
That's
I've
cute.
finally gotten to Hitman. He's finally gotten to Odyssey.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's pretty knee deep in that
your
at the moment.
husband's played that like 3 times.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. And they're the same person basically. So I keep saying, like, just do the same thing as each other. You'll love it, including me.
Yeah, true. Okay, TV shows, movies. What'd you
I'm
highlight?
sure there was lots that I can't remember, but the things that stick out to me are I don't think it's a recent thing, but I discovered Love on the Spectrum this year. Obsessed. I was hooked. Oh, it's so great. And now I follow a couple of them on social media, like loved it. I think we started with the American one, and like everything that's American, it was kind of like bigger and more extreme. So then I think we did the UK and Australian ones from memory. They weren't as extreme. So it was kind of like, I think we should have done them in a different order. But anyway, absolutely loved that. Laughed, cried every episode, like just did everything I needed. I really, really have been enjoying the Heartbreak High reboot. Definitely
Jenna
not
loves
for Holly.
like a teenager show.
I love a teenager show and I love Aussie shit.
Yeah, you do.
So the
Perfect
combo,
crossover, yeah,
and queer shit. Like
yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
That's a Venn diagram. It's circle.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. So I never watched the original Heartbreak High, but I thought this one was beautiful. Yeah, I really liked it. I also watched, what's the one that my niece made me watch? It's like queer, but it's like for 13-year-olds, so all they do is kiss. There's a lot of kissing in it. Oh my God, what is it called?
You've got 2 phones with Google.
But I can't even think what to look up.
13-year-old queers. Watch
Kissing
out.
in schoolroom. Heartstopper. That was cute, but I actually felt like when I got to the end of it, I was like, can they stop kissing? Like I think because they're trying to keep it at an appropriate age level, which is really cool. It's cool to see media like aimed at that level. They kind of can't go too far with things.
Sure.
But then I was like, so much passion. Like I felt like a prude. Like I was like, keep your tongues to yourself. But it was very cute. It's very like idyllic, very like this is how things should be in a lot of ways. Like there's one scene where someone comes out to a group of all their friends and then one of their friends goes like, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Is that information that you'd like us to keep within this circle or is it like public? And I was like, that never happens. It doesn't happen.
No.
But it's great that they're modeling good behaviour.
Yes, it really is. Yeah.
And on the queers, I also watched there's this show called The Ultimatum, which is a reality show. And I've only watched one season, which is like the queer love season. And it's absolutely unhinged and I loved it. It's just wild. It's like so the thing I kind of discovered dating shows this year. And as a poly person, dating shows are so fucking off the wall. Like, because you're just like, all of your problems would be solved if you were just poly. Like literally the drama in every single episode of every single show is, but I love this person and I also love this person. And you're like, okay, have I got a solution for you?
It seems obvious.
Yeah. And they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, it's really straightforward. So yeah, I've just been loving that. There you go. There's my trash. Give us some less trash,
Did you watch
maybe.
any movies? Well, I don't know.
I don't usually watch movies.
What's the movie again?
Do you know what I also loved
Me.
You.
Yeah.
And the fucking Edgar Allan Poe one.
Sorry, I'm giggling
I'm
at
such an
the. She's really getting into it. She's thinking, yeah.
Move my body to think.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, it was from the same person that made House, Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor.
Like that. Yeah.
It was very me.
Yeah.
No, the
Fall of the House of Usher.
Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
Loved that.
You gotta let it burn.
I mean, I thought it was about Usher, and then when I worked out it wasn't, I was like, maybe I'll watch that, and I loved it.
Considering all the Diddy stuff, that's a bit of a relief.
That's what I mean. I was like, I'm not really into that. And I freaking loved it. It was very my kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Like a bit of horror, a bit of creepy, bit of camp, a lot of camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
See, this is a thing with us. I'm, just before anyone accuses me of homophobia, I am so queer. So piss off. But I'm really not into like queer media. I am in queer media though. Holding Jenna's finger. So yes, I don't like really campy sort of stuff. But yeah, there's a line there, you know, like the early AHS, loved. And then as it
Pretty
started to get
campy.
more singy and dancey, killed it for me. So I don't know how campy I can, but I might try it.
See, I don't know. Season
But that had
season 3 of AHS had singing. I think season 2 did as well.
all of them did. All of
Yeah,
them did.
right.
But season 1, like for example, was Stevie Nicks, which doesn't really count as singing.
Season 1 didn't have Stevie Nicks in it.
Sure
That was season
it did.
3.
That was the
That's Coven.
Witches.
No.
Oh, was
season
it?
1 was Murder House.
I think I watched Coven first. You're right. My bad. Yes, yes.
You don't mess with a queer media
No,
girl.
you're
about
right. You're
AHS.
right. I'm wrong. Yeah, fair. Yeah, no, I didn't. I think it was okay, and then it got a little silly. I think when we went to the psych ward season. Anyway,
Well, that was when singing got introduced.
right, awful. So yes, no films for you.
Not that I can remember.
Okay. You said on to less trash for me. Well, that sets quite a high standard.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it, but you're looking over my shoulder.
Yeah, I'm trying to creep. I want to see what the answers are.
An authentic conversation. Okay, my series this year, I do a wrap on this on Twitter every year. I do my own little Holly series wrapped. So this is a real exclusive preview. It usually comes out in January, but here you go. My series of the year was Scavenger's Reign. It's an animated series. It's apparently just a one-off miniseries. I think now you know what it's like. They're going to be like, we'll make it was so successful, we'll make another season, which I don't always know if that's a great idea. But it was a ship that's crashed on an alien planet, and people are trying to get off the planet, basically. But for me, the creations of the life forms on the planet were just incredible. They show various types of like symbiosis and evolution and just life cycles of various alien life, and the way that they have come up with these is just wild. Like I've never seen anything like it, and it blew my mind, and I loved it. So Scavenger's Reign, if you are into that kind of thing, go check it out. I thought it was amazing. I also loved Fallout. I thought that was a really cool adaptation. I didn't like the games, thought the series was a lot of fun. Loved The Terror, watched that recently, so that didn't come out this year, but season 1 of The Terror, which is based on the ships that were trying to do the Northwest Passage back in the 1800s and got trapped in the ice. So it's a fictionalized telling of that true story, but cool. Yeah, people got stuck in the ice. It's so
I'm into that.
Good.
Cool.
I love a survival story. I'm really into people surviving in like really like from real circumstances. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's only a little bit known about what happened to the people, but there's a lot of things that have been found from their bodies and stuff that were left behind, and well, who made it? You'll have to watch the show and find out. The thing with the series is there's a little bit of a mystical element that they've added in for a little bit of whimsy, which I didn't love, but it's fine. It still didn't kill the show for me, so fantastic. Watch The Terror, season 1. It's an anthology series, so each season has a different theme. Apparently season 2's not any good, but season 1 is self-contained, and it was fantastic. Also just finished watching Ludwig, I think he says Ludwig in the show.
Yeah, that's how you pronounce Ludwig.
No, but I feel like like when you say croissant, like I'm not going to say croissant, like that's how you say it, similarly.
So we say croissant, but we also say Ludwig.
Yeah, it just feels a little. Anyway, that's a show. David Mitchell is a puzzle creator, which obviously is right up my alley, but it's also a cozy crime series, and it was just super fun, super addictive. I loved it. I laughed. Each episode was just really juicy, so highly recommend that.
It's next on our list.
It is.
We haven't got there yet.
Very, very good.
Them I quite enjoyed too. I only watched that this year.
Okay.
Speaking of campy horror. It's just like black AHS.
Yeah. In terms of films, this year it was a tie. So just a little recap on my 2022 film was Prey, which is the Predators prequel based in Native America scenes. I don't know what you'd say, pre-white, pre-colonial America, I guess you'd say. Fantastic. That was great. 2023 was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which was the amazing Nicolas Cage one where it's very self-deprecating and so funny. And yeah, this year it was a tie between Alien Romulus and Furiosa.
I've never heard of any of these movies. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, none of them are really up your alley. Alien Romulus is another well, it's not quite a prequel, but it's sort of slotted into the middle of the Alien series. It's nothing revolutionary in terms of it's an alien film. There are aliens hunting humans. That's the gist. But there was a lot of concepts within it that I thought were really cool. I've never seen, for example, a ship that the threat is that the ship is going to crash into an asteroid belt. That was a whole thing, and you're nearing the belt as it's spinning, and that was really cool. Various things like that I've just not seen. I won't spoil anymore, but things that were just novel for me, and it had me on the edge of my seat. The other tie was Furiosa, which is the Mad Max film that came out. Just incredible. I did not expect to love that as much as I did. The previous Mad Max films sucked. Fury Road was okay. Fury Road was okay. I'm being a bit harsh there. Fury Road was pretty okay, but Furiosa was unbloody real. It was. The dystopian view of the future was really cool. The costumes, the environments, like the landscapes were incredible. George Miller's filmmaking was just, incredible. The actors were great. 10 out of 10. So those two tied for me this year.
I love that. You have these like full like cinematic reviews. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I discovered dating shows in 2024.
Yeah. This show was a bit gay, and I liked it.
It was visually very appealing. Don't remember the plot, don't care.
Yeah, it's I'm very into film, particularly when it comes to sci-fi. So that gets me excited.
So what that's the media stuff. What new sex shit have we done?
Oh my God.
Sexy tales
Honestly,
of the year.
Probably got so many, and I feel really bad. I should have done a little bit more research on this.
Oh.
One of the most recent ones I did a champagne enema, which is wild, because for anyone listening, you would know, well, I mentioned a few times anyway, you probably don't have a notebook with all the details on what I do and don't do.
Oh, some of them do. They show it to me, and I fact check.
Cute.
I get my red pen out and fix things.
Yeah. I don't do anal. I'm not into butt stuff at all. It's not for me, unless somebody gives me $20,000 or marries me. So I did it actually with a couple of peers. Oh no, that's another thing I did. Oh God, so many things. Sorry, I had a double, and the person that I did the double with did a champagne enema, and so did my client, and I watched, and I was like, that looks so fun. It was really entertaining, and I was like, I'm very curious. So a few sessions later, the client and I got me a little enema bulb and put some champagne in it, and we put it into my bottom. And it was quite a unique sensation. It was a little...
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Burny at first. You're like,
because bubbly? Is champagne bubbly?
Acidic, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
dear.
At first you're like, oh no. It's so nice, right?
Okay.
I
mean, that you've just described butt stuff.
Well, yeah.
Yes. You go, oh.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't. As I said to the client, I'm going to do that every weekend. It wasn't the highlight for me, but it was fun. It was it was novel. We had a laugh. The client really enjoyed it, and it didn't offend me or stress me out. It was something different. So that was cute. Any new fun things you want?
Well, I guess that reminded me that it didn't happen this year, but I think last year I stopped doing any butt stuff. So I've gone in the opposite direction, and I haven't had anything go inside my bottom for 18 months, a bit longer, I think even.
It's been nice to have a butt rest. Aside from the fact that you enjoy anal, but...
Well, occasionally I'm like, I really do like that. But I found out that, I suspected that it was triggering endometriosis attacks. And I went, I'm just going to not do any for a month, and because it was a period of time where I had done it a lot. I thought I'll just go without it for a month and see what happens. And pretty quickly I was like, it was that was the problem. So, it is frustrating because I do enjoy some of that in my life, but such an easy fix. Like, how often do you have a medical situation and then you just go, oh, cool, I'll just stop doing that. Done.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to my physio about it, I go to the physio for my back problems, but she specializes in women's physio and does internal examinations and stuff, and internal, like physical movement stuff inside. And her theory is that the reason I didn't have that problem before was that it's actually scar tissue from the surgery I had to remove endometrial tissue. So it's
It's glamorous having this sort of genitals, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Love it. So I got some rectum scars. Well, I don't probably who knows up in there. It's all very close. This is the problem. But yeah, so I've discovered that, and it's been, as much as that is like a little bit annoying, it's been really amazing to. I think I've only had like maybe one kind of endometriosis attack over the last year, which has been very nice. Happy about that.
And you were a bit concerned that you would have clients be really funny about the fact that wasn't on your list anymore.
Yeah, a little bit,
You were like, well, I don't know if. And mostly people have been really good. There's been a few who've been like, when is this back or whatever.
Yes, a couple of weirdos.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I shouldn't say weirdos, but in my mind, I just think
It's weird
to be that focused on this one little part of my body. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to see you if you don't do this. That's a bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, I felt a bit concerned, like, should I drop my rates because of that? That was a, conversation I had with myself. But a year later, I put my rates up instead. So
There you go.
if you're ever worrying about if you should put your rates down, just put them up instead and call it a day. That's my advice. But yeah, and there's been a few times where, particularly like on tour and stuff, where people who don't like follow me super closely or don't see me super often, where they've kind of gone to do a butt thing, and I've been like, oh, you missed the memo.
Yeah.
That's sorry. And I feel a bit awkward that that's happened mid-booking because they obviously, I'm like, oh, sorry, that's not a thing anymore. And I've sort of gone, oh, I hope that's, but all of them have been wonderful about it. So, yeah.
It's so good. I mean, as they should be, but sometimes the bar is low for how people will behave.
Yeah.
Speaking of butt stuff, I did my first human fistipede. So yes, again, myself and a peer and a client. All
That's a movie I really
together.
dug.
Yeah,
I was into that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Checks.
Yep.
Checks out.
Yeah.
So, we did a range of sort of positions. Obviously, I am unfistable. So they swapped.
Obviously.
Those two swap. Well, I mean,
No, it is obvious if you know your
in the
internals.
anus. Yes, but also I have
Anywhere.
I've got a very, very tight vagina. So anyway, in fact, potentially problematic. There's been discussions with my doctor that I should go to a physio to get that sorted out. But anyway, so yes, the client, the peer and the client swapped places a few times and stuff. But yeah, we got three of us in a row, all with the fists up the butts. You can imagine the human fistipede, and that was really cool. That was my first time doing that, and it was actually such a laugh. We got some photos from it, which I've been meaning to post on socials forever. I have approval from both people that it's okay for me to post those. I just haven't got around to it. So at some point they'll go up on my Blue Sky / Twitter, depending on what I feel like at the time, but. Super, super, super fun. That was very novel and new for me.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and we may even have one coming up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
we may.
We're going to double fist, you and I are going to hold hands and fist somebody with 4 people in the room. So we'll see how that
We'll
goes.
just keep expanding the fistipede.
And the anuses.
Yes. I discovered something. So I've always known that I like my feet being touched, and I just love feet in general.
So good.
But earlier this year, I was just sitting on the couch with my partner, and I just had my feet kind of on his lap, like they were just sitting there. And he kind of started absentmindedly just running his kind of fingertips over them. Oh my Lord. It was the most phenomenal foreplay.
Yeah.
And I don't it seems like such a simple little thing. And, I'm 36. How did I just discover that? But it was just so freaking lovely. And I've noticed a lot of my clients who obviously have listened to the podcast or looked at stuff on my socials it seems pretty obvious to me that they've clocked that I'm into the feet.
Same.
Because we've both been pretty open about that. And so I see them doing something, and then I see their brain being like, oh, she's into feet, and going and grabbing a foot. And I love it. It's been awesome.
Nice.
I'm really into it. To be clear, if you're a client of mine and you don't want to touch my feet because you think feet are gross, that's so fine. A lot of people do. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But it's really sweet when I see them being like, oh, this is a thing she likes. I'm like, thank you.
I feel somewhere, I feel like you're trying to force yourself to do something. You're like, oh, she likes the foot, so what do I do with this?
If you're not into it, it's fine.
It's totally fine. But yeah, I have noticed the same thing when we're doing a certain position or a certain thing, and they're like, oh, we'll get the foot in, here's the, and I'm like, oh, yeah, touch my foot. It's super cute. And I really love, I'm like, oh, you noticed the thing I like.
Nice.
And it's super sweet.
Yeah. I also had an encounter for the first time. So there's another, I may as well say who they are because why not? Give them a shout out.
Yeah.
So Bo Whiteley is someone who works, they're based around Newcastle. And we had a double together for the first time, but we have had mutual clients for years saying, oh, you should check this person out, and we knew each other, but we'd never done a booking together. And a lot of clients said, yeah, you're very, very similar. And holy crap, it was mind blowing. I've never met someone whose body is so similar to mine.
It's like fucking yourself.
It was like apart from, she can come from nipple play, which I can't, but like I touched the same buttons on her body that work on mine, and the exact same thing happened. Like it was so surreal and really, it was really validating and affirming because I spend a lot of my sexual experiences with people being like, holy fuck, what is this? And in a positive way, people are nice about it, but I have always felt like a bit of a freakazoid. Like people will be like, it must be amazing to come so easily. And I'm like, it is, but it's quite abnormal. Like it's definitely on one end of the spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, like
it's a bit obscene.
I come ridiculously easily. People are like, "Oh no, you didn't," and I'm like, "No, I did. I come. Like,
They don't
don't
believe
give
you.
yourself credit. I come so easily."
Yes.
But Jenna is a step up on that. Like,
Yeah. I mean, meeting you, I was like, oh, cool. She comes really easily too, But yeah, it just felt really validating because I was like, oh, okay. Well, my body is definitely on one end of the spectrum, but here's another one that also is too. And that was nice.
that is very, very nice.
Rimageddon.
Rimageddon. Yeah. I love that.
How could we forget Rimageddon?
Come up with that name.
Yeah.
This one was only this week. I got a message from somebody who said to me, hey, Holly, in fact, the phrasing was really good. Do you know what? I'm going to read you guys the message. Stop. It's so juicy.
Okay, Hamish is now licking my toes, so someone got the memo.
Yeah, he likes to do that, which I'm like, oh.
That's not quite it for me.
Yeah.
I prefer a human tongue, generally.
Message from this client. Hey there, Holly. Not sure if you remember me, the guy that did your ass with his tongue for an hour while you just relaxed in your trackies about a year or two ago. Sorry to bomb in so late, but could we do that again? You don't have to do anything but relax, as before, very low key and a premium. And this was at 11:20 p.m. I was in my jammies. I was in bed, just about to put my CPAP mask on, although I'm in my jammies in bed most hours of the day, so let's not get carried away with that. And I did remember him. I was like, oh, God, that was so much fun. So this guy, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, messaged me a similar thing, and I was like, oh, fuck off. I was like, of course not. And I actually said to him, my boundaries are firm. I was really like, no. And he was like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to put makeup on. You don't have to react or anything. I want you just to relax, and I'll do this. And and just the way I was like, you know what? Fuck it. All right. So I did that 2 years ago, and it was literally what he said. I wore no makeup, casual clothes. Obviously, I showered and freshened myself up. And I just pretty much laid there while he did that. And it was so relaxing. And I actually found it at the time, I remember it was deeply relaxing. Like I wanted to fall asleep while he did that. It was calming and nice and soothing. This time he came over and it was sexy. It was so hot. For pretty much the whole hour, I just laid there while he licked my bum. And while he was doing that, he was like caressing my legs. He started like stroking my feet really lightly while he was doing it. I know.
You didn't tell me that part.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't want to go too horny in the voice notes that I was leaving. Then he'd like reach up and like caress my back and like run his nails lightly over my skin. I was wearing a singlet, so you could sort of get, and like just these gentle caresses while he was doing that. And I was like, oh, I started to get more and more horny. And he like slightly reaches his hand like on the inside of my leg, and he's like, can I kiss you here? And I was like, oh my God, do it. Please do it. And I think the thing is, if he proposed that in the message, I might have been like, nah. And generally I was probably not technically like in the mood for that. But because I'd had that not on my brain, and then I was getting horny, and then I was thinking that's not on the menu. So when he offered it, I was like, oh, like it was a bonus. It was so exciting. Like he'd like just got me so horny that I was like, please. Anyway, went down on me a little bit, and I had some fantastic orgasms, rolled back over, and then just lay there while he continued licking my bum for the rest of the hour. And then gave me a cuddle and left, and tipped quite generously.
Oh.
So love him. And I said to him, all right, I'll see you in 2 more years. And he said, yeah, see you in 2026. And it was the best. So I just wanted to share that really unusual experience, but so nice.
Sounds so nice. I love it.
Fucking nice, Delightful. Yeah, there you go.
Lovely.
Yeah, there's our sex stories.
Look at us having sex in 2024. That's new.
The actual sex stories. A lot on here we sort of we did earlier in the show, and I think a lot of the time, particularly when we've got regulars, we're sort of doing the same things. You don't need to know all the, but I also think sometimes it's fun to hear the actual sex side.
Yeah,
of the
for
sex
sure.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen, there was a post on Reddit the other day where someone was like, why do you all hate all your clients? Like, no one ever talks about the good stories. You always tell the bad ones.
Point.
It is a fair point. And I was like, it's not fair for you to take away from that we all hate our clients.
No.
Because on the Tales from the Pizza Guy subreddit, they never say, today I delivered a pizza and
Yes.
and then I left and it was really nice.
Everyone was polite.
Like, yeah. You know, I mean, it's like, okay. And then I've had a few TikTok people that have said, oh, can you tell us like one of the good stories? And it's hard to like, I'm like, I have so many, right? That's why we've been doing this job for so fucking long.
Yes.
Like there's a lot that we love about it. And I think people that listen to the podcast know that, but it can be quite hard to kind of like, without it being like an erotica thing as well.
100%.
You know.
And I could sit here and go, oh, well, I have this client and he's like this and he does this and he does this and he's so wonderful and blah, blah, blah. But then all my other clients that are listening are going, oh, you know, and it's not that they're not as great. They're all good, but like I can't give everyone a bit of, and then I don't want to make people feel, and then I don't want somebody to talk about how great somebody is and accidentally give too much about who they are away or misrepresent something and then them question.
Yeah,
you know,
it's tricky.
So delicate.
Yeah. But just know that we do have a lot, I mean, for us, primarily wonderful experiences.
Yeah. I mean, we text each other all the time and be like, oh, well, we talk all the time anyway, but we're like, oh, I've got this guy this week. Oh, he's one of my favorites. Oh, yeah. This one. Yeah.
And we'll know about, oh, you're seeing blah, blah today.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Super cute.
So hilariously, unsurprisingly, before we recorded this, we've only got a few dot points on the script. And I said, do you think we've got enough? Lol.
Yeah.
Idiots. So let's talk about what's coming up for us in the new year. Looking forward.
Yes, as I said, I'm definitely going to try and get on a plane in 2025, although I have been saying that for like 10 years.
Yeah, but you've made steps.
Yes, and in those 10 years, I've managed like 2 or 3 flights. I actually did them. So hopefully I'm at a point where we can start to attempt some. So fingers crossed. I'd really like to, in 2025, one of my random goals, I'd really like to find the courage to do some snorkeling in like the ocean, like in the deep, horrific, awful ocean. I do not like the ocean, just like Jenna. I don't want to be in it.
You might see tuna.
This is, I don't think, I'm not going that deep. But like,
I don't know where they go.
Deep enough that, yes, I can't see the bottom. And that is very upsetting to me. But for some reason, I really want to do it.
This is quite a confession you've just lumped on me.
I like to do things. I like a challenge.
Okay.
I would love to get up to Sydney for some more V8 hot laps. That's on my list of things. I'd really like to be able to drive to Echuca. They have these paddle steamers, and you can go for 3 days on the river, and they give you fine dining, and you stay in this beautifully appointed cabin, and they show you the wildlife and scenery and take you on tours. So that's another thing I'd really like to do. I think it's 7 hours drive from here. So at the moment it's a little beyond what I think I can cope with, and then 3 days away from being able to get to my car is stressful for me as well.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But that's one of my goals, is to get to Echuca and go on the paddle steamers. So that's my 2025 goals. Also to have PGA thrive, to have HH, which is me, thrive. All of the usual things, great relationships. Yeah, that's some of my big goals. Also, 2025, I have CanCon coming up in January, which is the Canberra Tabletop Gaming Convention. It was one of the biggest conventions in Australia for this content, for games in general. Although now I think there's a bigger one in Sydney called,
SydCon?
They've got the stupid PlayCon. Yeah.
No, that makes me think it's a kink event.
Yeah. Anyway, but I've actually bought tickets potentially to go to that.
Cool.
I'm funny about it because they're not releasing what things are on until closer, and you have to buy the tickets.
Okay.
I'm like, anyway, so we'll see. But here in Canberra, in late January, there will be a convention. I have a stall there. Jenna will be helping me.
I'm going to be a staff member.
She's going to be a staff
I'm going to make us
member.
T-shirts.
So cute. I'm going to sell the games there, and it's not so much about selling the games because the overheads to have a stall at a convention like that it's all quite high. I've had to get all this stuff made and buy a lot of display stuff and all of that kind of gear. So I won't be there to make a profit, but I'll be there just for the brand exercise of it and, networking. So very excited, nervous, excited for 2025 in general. So, yeah.
Did you want to talk about Drive Me to Use?
Oh, yeah, true. Thank you. Also, in 2025, with my newfound freedom, I'm hoping to be able to, in fact, I will be doing some Drive Me to Use. I've already got 2 lined up, which I'm pretty sure are pretty concrete, where, I'll be driving interstate, no more than about 3 hours away. But yeah, to go and see some clients that I ordinarily wouldn't get to see because they can't make it to Canberra. So yeah, that should be something good. I'm not necessarily up to touring. I don't even know if I will do tours in 2025, but I will be able to go to people in other states. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah. What is the Jenna plan? Oh, you've probably got nothing going on next
Nothing.
year. No. Just a chill year for you.
Just quitting everything.
Yeah.
Not adding to the workload at all.
Not at all.
So I am quite excited and nervous because I've accepted a position in a master's course. I'm going to do a Master of Social Justice, majoring in human rights, which everyone I say that to is like, yeah, that's okay, obviously.
That tracks, yep.
Yeah, and I was tossing up between doing that and doing the Auslan course. And a lot of people in my life, I said, I've got this and I've got this, and I'm kind of torn between the two. The third option is not studying at all and just having an easier life. But everyone was like, no, don't do that one. That doesn't sound like you at all.
Yeah.
And it kind of pretty much every single person I spoke to was like, oh, the latter sounds like you. And I thought, well, that's quite telling because sometimes, I always go on about we know ourselves better than anyone else does, but sometimes other people can really see things like that about you. So I'm really excited about the course. It looks awesome. But yeah, I am a bit anxious about it. It's been 14 years since my undergrad. And I'm like, do I have... Oh, yeah, it's a big undertaking. I'm only going to do it part-time, of course, but even that is a lot, and it feels a bit scary, but I did vow to never go back to uni, so broken that rule. But yeah, I am excited about it, and I'm hoping it really helps with the advocacy stuff and that I can continue making a difference in that space and doing what I really love doing. So that's cool. I also am a part of an Adelaide Fringe show, it's very much in the early stages right now, but that's called Hall Walk. We're part of the Fringe Festival end of February.
I hope it's mostly whore and less walk.
Yeah, it's a walking tour, but we are doing one show that's a seated show.
Oh, lovely.
So we have one show that's Auslan interpreted and one that's a seated show. So if walking isn't accessible for people walking around Adelaide, they can sit and we'll put together like a little kind of PowerPoint with photos of the areas that we go to on the walking tour. I'm kind of the director. I think there's 3 of us putting it together. We've got someone who's on research and it's really their baby, and they sort of really came up with the idea. Then we've got somebody who is, I would say, like kind of a dramaturg person, like a person that can, how do I explain a dramaturg?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I just realised.
It's like that's something from a sci-fi.
Hold on. A dramaturg is a literary advisor and expert in the art of writing and performing plays who works in theatre, opera or film. So yeah, I would describe them that way. And then I'm doing some of the kind of production and like directorial side of things maybe. I might perform in it, we don't know. This is the thing with Fringe festivals, especially if you're doing created works, you have to put everything in well before you've even written the show. So we'll find out, but I think it'll be really cool. Little history tour walking around Adelaide and hitting up some, local hoary spots. And obviously we'll also be kind of talking about the history of the rights movement, which has been really strong for a very long time there. The push for decrim, I think it's like the longest push in history or something, which is, they still have not achieved it. But yeah. I've applied to speak at the World Association for Sexual Health Congress 2025, which is a huge event, and this year it is in Australia. So I haven't sort of heard back about that, but I was asked to put in a submission. So hopefully that's promising, and that's something that I'll be doing, and that'll be a really, really cool, really massive space with a lot of people from this country and international to be able to talk about sex work. So I'm hopefully doing that. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Couldn't think of anyone better.
Thanks.
Stop it, mama love. Yeah, well, that's us. That's 2024 done and dusted.
Yeah. This is the last episode of season 4, the last episode of 2024.
Yep. So I guess we're finishing the show
Maybe.
forever.
I don't know. We'll take a bit of a breather and we'll reassess.
Oh, God. I was joking.
I thought you would want to. That's why I was giving you the out.
We've got to do another season.
I do think 100 would be a nicer number than 80, but, you know,
Be nice.
I don't want to push the relationship.
So cute.
I always want to do more. We know that.
Yeah. This is she's never doing too much. But yes,
Because there's also all those other things I've committed to for next year, which I
Yeah.
can't talk about on the podcast.
there's a few things. Yeah. Yes, so 2025, hopefully a good year.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's been a good year for all of our listeners. It has been a tough one with Cozzy Lives, as everyone knows I love to say, and some people still contact me and go, oh, I just learnt what Cozzy Lives is, and I'm like, oh,
do they?
I've been really presuming a lot. But the cost of living crisis I know has impacted people worldwide.
My friends think that's just a me thing,
What?
because he lives.
Oh, that you just made it up.
Yeah. They're like,
Your
Jenna,
friends-
that's not going to catch on. I'm like, no, it has been caught.
Yeah.
It,
I was going to say,
What are you talking about?
your friends are like less bogan.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
They're a little more cultured.
Yeah.
So they're like, what?
I guess.
Who speaks like that?
But I hear it everywhere.
Yeah, great.
I take screenshots and
do you now?
every time I see it, I'm like, look, there's another person who said it.
But yeah, I know it's been a tight year for a lot of people. Definitely, I think it's impacted my newer business. I've only had, I think, careful here, we've got numbers. I think I've only had 7 or 8 new clients this year, which historically I think I've had, in 2020 or something I had, or 2019 I had 30, and most is 20 to 30, 35 new clients a year. That's a lot. But yeah, and this year about 6 or 7 new entirely. Most of my business has been my regulars, which is fantastic and great for me. But I wonder if that's been because of Cozzy
it's
Lives.
interesting.
That people
I haven't looked at my numbers, but I don't think mine's changed that much.
Right, okay. Yeah, it could just be me. Maybe fewer people are taking interest in me. They've gone, oh, I don't know about her. But I do suspect it's a thing that potentially people are less likely to take a risk on somebody new. So, like that.
It makes sense.
You know, you're like, well, if I'm going to spend the money, I want it to be someone I've met. So, or just, decided this is not the year they're going to start seeing hookers because, it's too expensive. So yes, anyway, point is it's been a tough year financially. I know for a lot of people, even though we're quote unquote out of the pandemic, which we're not really, but we're out of a really critical stage of it. I know it's been a really shitty year for people overseas, particularly anyone who's closely tied to anything related to Ukraine or Palestine. That's been really, really fucking shit. Really bad times for anyone in the USA and anyone who has anything to do with the USA with the election results. Really bad times for people, sex workers in Adelaide, sex workers, we've had losses within the community. There's been a lot of really shitty things that have happened this year, I guess is my point. And so in spite of all of that, I hope that most of our listeners have had as pleasant a year as you can, and let's hope for relief from all of those things next year and some change in the world. Always.
I don't have much hope, but I'm glad you do.
I think that's it's nice to dream. Let's
Cute.
Yeah. I'm very, very nihilistic, but we'll see. Thanks for joining us for another whole season of this show.
Yeah.
Still can't believe this
Crazy.
is episode 80. It's absolutely wild, and that doesn't mean we've only created 80 episodes because we created bonus episodes too. So we've been doing this.
Yeah.
And for those who have stuck through it all, we adore you. There are some people who listen to the show who are like, oh, I loved episode 20 this and I love it. And I'm like, I have no fucking idea. They are dedicated.
But we're like, if they say, oh, I loved this week's episode, we're like, well, we recorded that 3 days
Yes.
ago and we can't remember. So
They go, oh, what you said in this week's episode about, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
no, it's stream of consciousness.
I don't know what I'm saying at any given time. Like people, when I used to Twitch stream, people would be like, oh, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. I just
It's
moved my
gone.
mouth. It's gone.
It is out of my body
Yeah,
now.
what do you mean? Thanks for all of your support, whether that be just listening and being great allies, or whether that be that you're a patron. We appreciate it all a lot, deeply. Thank you, patrons. Our even more generous somebodies are the Riley McDonald, the Letitia Castell, the Ashley Stafford, the Rhiannon Rhodes, the Olivia Winsome, Hey RJ, Lachlan, Timmy,
Steve, Adele, Scott C, Leslie, Sub London, NK, Andrew, Wheezy, Mr. E, Mr. E, Mr. E, Simon, Luke, Frankie, Cuddle Koala, Witty Comment, Alex, David, Josh, Rebecca, and Damon.
And our extremely generous somebodies, the Madison Jones, the Sienna Saint, Aaron, Andrew, Pete, Tim, Tom, and Mr. Sick Cunt. Finally, you get your name said the way you've probably wanted this whole time. I'm surprised we haven't received a message from him being like, it's meant to be Sick Cunt. Why do you keep saying it different ways? Because it makes us laugh.
We just found it really funny.
We liked undermining your attempt to make us say a bad word. But there you go. That's a Christmas.
Even though cunt's like my favourite word. My mum will be so sad now. She hates that word. My parents both hate it. So have a cunty
miracle.
Christmas.
Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Please look out for us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Our name everywhere is Somebody You Pod, as in podcast. Our Patreon starts at just $3 a month, and you can get all of our episodes ad-free and a day early, plus bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes action, bloopers, and more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the voices of sex workers. And remember, somebody you love might just be a sex worker.